You're watching FPAC Channel 9. I'm Connie Boyer, and this is an episode of Opening Fairfield Doors. And today's show will be about Rotary Exchange. And my guests today are Kieran Stallone and Diana Garles. And I might say that we would have a third student, but he's leaving today and going to Des Moines and flying out tomorrow for Taiwan. That's Chance Dubuque. So he was doing his last minute preparation and for his exciting year in Taiwan. And also we have an incoming student that is arriving today from France, so that's exciting. Today, he's coming today, and we'll be staying this school year, and so at some point we'll have an interview with him. But today we're going to talk to Diana and Kieran. Diana just got back from Brazil. She spent the last year, her junior year, correct?
Yes, my junior year.
And she will be starting her senior year pretty soon.
Yeah, in a week, right?
So, Diana, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and why you wanted to be an exchange student?
All right. Well, I'm Diana Garles. I go to the Fairfield High School. I've been in the public system my whole life. My mom is Jerry Garles. She's on the school board. You may have seen her around doing things here and there. My dad is Gary Garles, who's the landscaper. The landscaper nursery. His business is out south of town, where we live. And they've lived here for 30-some years, so you might know them. I'm a senior at FHS this year, and I went my junior year. My sophomore year, I guess everyone wonders why someone wants to be an exchange student, because only certain people can do it, really. And it all kind of started, I was in Spanish class, and Tace had gone my sophomore year, I think. Tace James she went to Germany. And so that kind of gave me the idea, and then Spanish class, I really liked the language, so I thought, I'll go to Spain. I ended up in Brazil. But I started out wanting to go to Spain, and I talked to Mrs. Swanson, the counselor, and then I got a hold of Connie. I just went on from there. I really enjoyed Brazil. And
we might say that the students choose 2 or 3 places that they would like to go. And
she knows this also.
Rotary then, the district Rotary here then tries to match you up with another district wherever you want to go and try to create that relationship. And sometimes, for various reasons, for example, they couldn't find a club in Spain to host you, so they chose another country where they could find.
Because Brazil and the United States and many other countries are like that. They accept more than they take in or they send out. Spain is a little more exact exchange, where if one goes, one has to come back. But Brazil and the United States, we're a little more flexible with that, fortunately, and so it works out. You were going to go to Japan, right?
Yeah.
Japan's really hard to get into sometimes, too.
So yes, Karen, where are you going?
I'm a sophomore at Fairfield High School, and I'm going to Italy next year, and I'm going to be spending time in Naples, which is Avellino, which is near Naples, and that's near Pompeii and all the other landmarks.
And why did you choose Italy?
I actually chose Japan first, but Italy was the place that I wanted to go since I was 9, because I have Italian heritage and I like Italian food, and yeah.
Food's important.
Yeah.
You want to be able to like the food when you get there. And tell us a little bit about your family, Kieran.
My mom is Linda Stallone. She's a Rotary member in the Fairfield Rotary Club, and she was an exchange student a long time ago, and so was my sister, so that kind of made me decide that I wanted to be one. And yeah.
And you took a trip with your mom last year. Tell us about that trip.
Well, last year I went to New Zealand for about 4 months, and then Australia and Fiji as well. And that was when I really got into traveling and everything, and that kind of started me out, and it was a really good experience.
And you visited your mom's host club in Australia, correct?
Yeah, from when my mom was an exchange student, she went to Australia, Coimbra. It's a small town near Melbourne, and we went back and visited her host families and the people she spent all her time with, and it was really cool because there were 80 people there, and they all remembered her, and they presented her with a plaque and all that nice stuff.
And when do you leave?
I leave September 9th. And I just bought my ticket yesterday, so.
That's exciting.
Now, when you go, will you travel by yourself or with any of the other kids?
Actually, I'm not going through the main travel program because I had a lot of airline mileage that I'm going to use and take because I had like a lot of it, and I had the exact amount to get a full round trip ticket, but it had to be open-ended, so we had to buy some more and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm not going through the main travel agency.
Okay. And Diana, maybe you could explain a little bit about Rotary's exchange travel program.
Oh, yeah. When I was going down there, I met up, I believe it was Miami to Sao Paulo, Brazil, that I met up with 2 Canadians. And it's, one thing about Rotary is we have this kind of signature jacket. All the exchange students have this navy blue, which everyone goes, to. Oh, yeah, I didn't bring mine, sorry, but it's a navy blue jacket, and we put pins on it and stuff. And you should really wear that on your way down, because on your way back, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going back. But it still helps get through customs and things. But on the way down, I saw them and said, oh, you're going somewhere. You're exchange students. And they said, oh, we're going to Brazil. So that was kind of neat. I got to hang out with a couple really funny Canadians down to Brazil. And then I think I was alone at one point, because there's a part where if you get to your host country, you all kind of split out and go to your separate cities. Unfortunately, I met up with a girl in the airport, and it turned out that her host dad was taking us to our city, so we kind of became friends. We got there the same day, and she's from Alaska, and so we're still really good friends. Even now, we've hung out the whole year. And so one thing is the jacket's good. Usually there are people who, there's sometimes really big groups, like the group to Europe is usually very big because one's going to Germany, France, they're all going to Europe. So a lot of times they have 20 exchange students.
So there's a travel agency that really works well with the Rotary Exchange students, and will try to get the students to travel together when they can, because this is a big deal to travel, at 14, 15, 16 years of age by yourself. Most kids haven't done that at that point.
It's called It's Your World Travel. I think it's out of Seattle, and they're actually really helpful because my way back was a little tricky, and so I had to make a lot of calls, because the Brazilian airline kind of was changing owners the day of my flight, so they grounded all the flights, and that was interesting.
Something you had to negotiate.
Yeah, something you have to be flexible. That's their motto, be flexible.
Can you tell us a little bit about the training that Rotary gives you before you start? Maybe,
more
Kieran, since you're more recent, you can talk about the training you've just been through.
Well, first what you have to do is you have to apply through your local Rotary Club, and you have to fill out an application, and then you take it to, this past year, it was a topic. This past year you had to take it to Connie and Ginny Hughes, and they interview you, and usually not many people apply, but this year I think there were 2 people that applied, and they sent both of us. And then in December, I don't remember the date, but in December you had to go up to Indianola, yeah, and you had to go up to Indianola, and you got interviewed by the district, and they usually choose you, but they just they're the ones that make sure that you know what you're doing and like that sort of thing. And then get a letter, and you're like, oh, well, this is great, you're accepted.
I got mine Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or something. I was really excited.
Yeah, and then in January, I think it was this past January, like January 11th or something, and you had to go to a winter retreat up in like the middle of nowhere in these mountains, and it was fun because you got to meet the exchange students that were inbound and other outbound exchange students. Like inbound means people that came from other countries and stuff. And that was cool because you got, I met a girl from Italy, and
you're going to meet people who are from the other countries. When I went, I still thought I was going to Spain, and I had met a guy from Spain, but it turned out I was going to Brazil, which we had 2 exchange students from Brazil in Fairfield these past couple
So
years.
what did you do at that retreat? Was it just networking, or did you have specific structured things that you did?
Yeah, we sat for a really long time, and then we did these kind of strange camp activities. I think
like sledding, and you could do a lot of
like the camp counselors came out, and they were they played these kind of mind games. They did this really weird thing with us, and they're like tossing the ball, and then you had to like do these weird motions and stuff. Everybody was just.
I think I got to skip that.
Yeah.
So you also learned, did you learn about other cultures, what things are okay and not okay, or language barriers, or can you speak to something like-
I remember, they also had a rebound. Well, I'm a rebound.
Oh yeah, they had the
That's what
rebounds. Yeah.
They had, that's someone who's already done exchange and has come back, and there was a girl who had gone to Mexico, and she couldn't speak about it without just going into tears because she loved it that much. And so we really got to see, and it really pumps you up kind of, because the process starts, I think the application has to be in end of October or something. So this is a year process you go through, just waiting. Where am I going to be? Where's my family? So these retreats kind of keep you going, kind of let you learn and get other helpful hints from all the other exchange students, and the inbounds are really cool people to meet because they all speak their different languages. I really like that. I actually walked away from there with an accent, I think, because you're just around all these different places, different countries.
So, is there anything that you didn't learn during the training that you wish you would have learned?
Oh, I was gonna look at you. You haven't done it yet. No.
So, any advice for Kieran as she's getting ready to leave?
Well, it's really hard to prepare, especially Italy is probably different. I have a friend who, he should be back now. He did Italy. He was in Italy when I was in Brazil. And as far as I know, he had a blast. I know Europeans do like to travel a lot more, and because you can. But in Brazil, the training really prepares you well to enforce what we know. Because, I mean, basic principles, you smile, you shake hands, but I think being with the other exchange students, they say, they might, in Brazil you greet people with kisses, on either side, and so, you pull away, but they always teach you to just, sit there and be calm, and so the Brazilian, I can only speak for Brazilians, they were very, they really like Americans. My first host family knew some English, so it was really easy transition for me. But then you just learn as you go along. For me, Brazil was this kind of the same as the U.S. Just they do things in a different way. That's really all it is. They eat things in a little different way. It's just, but I mean, it's pretty much the same principle.
And how'd you get along with the language?
I loved the language. I'm still trying to speak it. I've been back 3 weeks, and I sometimes just go into Portuguese, and no one understands me. Fortunately, I don't know if you've had any Italian, but any language experience you had before. I studied Spanish for almost 3 years before I went, and that really helps with Portuguese. They're different, but they're still Romance, they're still the same Latin base. So I learned in 3 months. I still remember the day that I actually understood a conversation without intently listening and having them talk really slow. I was just sitting in my house, and my host brother, my hostess were talking. We were in hammocks, and I suddenly realized I kind of understood what they said, and I got all excited, and so it's really, the minute, almost that you start, when you're there, just everyone talks to you. That's one of the things. Don't let them speak English to you.
Oh,
yeah. They love, foreigners, they love speaking English.
Yeah,
It's
they want to
one of the
practice
most-
their English, right?
Exactly. And that's okay sometimes, and right when you get there, you're going to like that, just so people can explain what's going on. Because
And so, Kieran, how are you learning Italian?
Well, I bought the Rosetta Stone program. It's normally costs $300, but I kind of burned it. So yeah, but it's a really good program because it teaches you to speak, and you can record your voice, and then it compares it with a native speaker, and you can also type. It lets you practice typing, and it shows you pictures of everything, and it's just a computer program, so if you don't have a computer, you're kind of stuck, but otherwise it's really good. And
So do you feel like your Italian is, are you prepared for when you leave?
Yeah, I'm getting prepared. I'm still pretty bad at it, but I'm getting
the
better.
basics.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
So you stayed with 3 families, correct? Or
Four,
families?
actually, yeah.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your families and the
one?
different experiences you had maybe at each one?
Sure. My first family was one of my favorites. I'm not choosing favorites, but definitely one of my favorites. My host father and my host sister spoke English, and my host sister was my age. So I went to school with her. We walked there together, and she practiced her English, and she was in an English school, like outside of school as well. So, and it was really comfortable, home. Of course, I'm sure, with Rotary, fortunate you stay in wealthier homes, and a lot of times the Rotarians who have either done world travel or know a little bit about. That's how it was, and it turns out my first host parents were from another Rotary club than the one that was sponsoring me. So I actually got to go to 2 Rotary clubs for the first few months, and that was really neat to see because there were about 7 in my town or so.
So you were in a big city.
Yeah, I was in about the size of Des Moines, which isn't that big there, but I mean, to them, to me it was big. And I stayed in their house for 3 months or so, and I did traveling with the school. I went to the beach for a week with the kind of senior class, but I did get to go to a wedding of one of their family members, and so it was really nice. My second family was more of just a transition family because a different family couldn't receive me just because of scheduling and things like that. And that was during vacation, so everyone was traveling, and that was pretty fun.
So was that a shorter stay?
Yeah, it was only about a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
Okay.
And it was during Christmas, though. Christmas gets kind of rocky if you're... Well, it was for me because it wasn't anything like Christmas. It was warm. Like, it was just like a party, and they're like, Merry Christmas. And I was like, where's the eggnog? Where's the snow?
And you missed your family a little bit at that time.
Yeah, my mom kind of, well, she didn't, it wasn't her fault, but she called me from my grandparents' house, and I have like 10 uncles and aunts. My mom's family was really big, so everyone was there. Hey, they passed the phone around to about 500 people, so I was there going, yeah, it's great, nice and warm here, But I never, wanted to come home. It was just, you feel you're kind of left out, but it's okay, I'm not scared. My third family, I stayed the longest time, and I stayed I stayed 4 or 5 months maybe, but one of those months I was mainly traveling when I went to the Amazon Rainforest, which was fantastic. And I got to really know their family. I went to a lot of family events, and we traveled, and that was more, I had 2 little siblings, which I only have an older real sibling here, and I had only had older ones until this family. So I had a 6-year-old sister and a 12-year-old brother, and that was really interesting, learning how to live. Like, fortunately, if your first family is like that, they always say it's annoying because there's these 6-year-old kids speaking a language better than you can, it's kind of, but I knew the language, but it's still, like, I learned a lot of patience. It was very good. And then my last family, they're relatives in my first family, so I'd already kind of met them, and there was a girl my age, and so we went out a lot, and I went out with a lot of her friends, and it was the end of my exchange, so it was more just kind of, going out, saying goodbye, but their family's really nice too, and everyone has really nice houses. 2 of my houses had a pool, and almost all of them had, maids, and people took care of the house, so I got to be lazy, and thank you, I'm thankful. But, and so all the houses, they're a little bit different. My first and my fourth ones were more alike, and I really liked them, and my third one I really got to know the family, so it was really, I know a lot of people, and I know different areas of the town too, just by walking around, and so it was a really neat experience.
Kieran, do you know about your first family yet?
Yeah, actually I do. We just got a couple of emails from them. We had emailed them before, and apparently they didn't get our email, so then they emailed us and we didn't get their email, and it was really confusing. But I actually found out that they have a daughter that's my age, and I'm going to be going to school every day with her on public transportation.
You'll like that.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, and I found out a little bit about my school, and I don't know the classes yet, but I found out that I don't have uniforms. Kind of hoping to have uniforms, because
I had a t-shirt uniform, which was neat. But
Yeah.
T-shirt jeans.
Yeah, I was hoping to have them, because then it's like you look like everybody else. You
Yeah.
can play with your hair in the morning instead of your clothes, but that's okay. And I don't know anything about my Rotary Club. I still don't know the district that it's in. Probably look that up though. And yeah.
So, how many clothes should she take?
Oh,
Not very
geez.
many, because she's going to get more.
Oh, jeez. I took too many that probably wouldn't. I don't know. I wish I would have taken more present or like books about Iowa, because they really like that. Like
Yeah.
if you go to the gift
I got a
shops,
bunch of books on Iowa off
just
of
with
Amazon.
pictures, they love seeing stuff
Yeah.
like that. I took some other little things, but they really like those. And I don't. You're small framed, but most of the female exchange students gained weight. I gained some weight. I'll be honest. I'm telling all of Fairfield this. This is funny, and so, I mean, it's not too dramatic. But if like Brazil was hot most of the time, so then you don't wear many clothes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
You don't need
but
your
there,
long
but
pants.
there, yeah. But there, what was interesting was sometimes they say that shorts are more scandalous than skirts or something. So like their way was a little different. They wore a lot more skirts and sundresses. Like my style kind of changed now just because I was around. Like they just wear dresses on a normal day, you know. And so.
And
I'd
have
say
you been
Italy
instructed at all,
was-
Kieran, on dress?
No, not yet. We just got, like I said, we just got one email, and it was just really brief. And we're like, we're on vacation. We'll email me. We'll email more when we get back. But yeah, it's fun.
I just say take less clothes than you think you need, and
And take more presents.
yeah,
And
and,
things.
then you'll have more room to buy things,
Mhm.
more reason to buy things.
There you go.
I have no clothes.
So, Diana, what was one of you had mentioned earlier that the Amazon was, I think, the highlight of your trip. Or one of the highlights.
One of them.
Can you really talk about that trip? I mean, what you saw, what
Ooh.
was so fantastic about it? Why would people go there? Or why should they go there?
Oh, well, everyone should go there. It's funny. The Brazilians, more of them had been to New York than to the Amazon, because it's actually more expensive technically to go to the Amazon there than to go to Miami. I don't know how that works out, but it's beautiful up there. One of the reasons I liked it so much was it was a Rotary trip. Like they have about 4. The big trip was the Northeast trip where they went on all the beaches and stuff, and that I would have really liked to go on. But I went on the Amazon trip, and we were with about 50 other exchange students, and that was one of the highlights, because you get to meet people and live with people for a couple weeks who are going through the exact same thing. Any exchange student you'll meet will understand another exchange student, no matter where you go, way better than anyone else. It was, I went to Italy for a week. No, that doesn't, the exchange students. So we all had this really tight bond immediately. Everyone was really friendly. And then we would go out and hunt for piranhas and look for alligators. And I held a toucan on my arm, and we went swimming with pink freshwater dolphins. And so we got to see a lot of cool animals. Just be on the Amazon River, which was amazing itself, and swim in the water, and jump off the boat, which
Any big waterfalls?
Yeah, we went to, we'd go on kind of nature walks through the rainforest as well, and we went to one that was really big and really strong, and everyone was in there and kind of fallen over, and first aid, we did the first aid for everyone up, and then we went to one that was really tall and thin, so there's a lot of variety, and there's a lot of just amazing greenery. The trees, they're not huge redwoods, it's nothing like that. You just see what a beautiful, it makes you sad to think people are getting rid of it, because you can hear the life in it, you can feel the life in it. It's really just a gorgeous place. I really recommend it if you can ever go. But
Karen, have you been studying about Italy, the landscape and what you want to go see, or?
Yeah, I studied in an Italian book, and I learned a lot about Italian art. I thought I was buying a book about like the areas, but it was like, oh, here's this art piece and here's this one, and I was like, great. But I really want to visit Pompeii, which is really close to Naples, so it shouldn't be too hard to visit that, and I want to visit Rome and all the big touristy landmarks. And I also have heritage that came from Campo Bella di Mazzala, and it's in Sicily. And maybe when my mom was going to come and visit me, maybe when she comes, she was like, oh, we should go visit our relatives there. I was like, okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So you still have relatives there that you can go see?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there'd have to be researched on like before that. But my dad, he went to Lithuania, and he found relatives he had from Lithuania, like that was 4 years ago or something. So he's taking all these pictures. He's like, oh, that might be your cousin twice removed or something like that. And I'm like, oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how are you changed, Diana, since you went on this
Besides
trip?
knowing another language, I'd say I'm way more open to, well, I was a pretty open person. I mean, you have to be pretty open to even go on exchange, or they hope that you're pretty open. I think how I'm changed is it's really hard to explain. I can't even really explain. It's like knowing that somewhere else in the world, completely different from where you live, there's people there who love you just like, you know, like I have family there. I have brothers and sisters. I have like really good friends who might come and visit, and I'm trying to go back there, you know. And so it's these connections that just last forever. It's easier for me to explain actually. Kind of an unfortunate accident. There was a girl from New Zealand doing exchange when I was there, and she went back home at the end of her exchange, and she drowned in an accident about 2 or 3 weeks after she got back. And it was really, really unfortunate, and when I got the call, you know, I just broke down because she was a really amazing person. And it was, we had a service for her there in Brazil, and there were all these kids who came, all these people who knew her. And so it was kind of shocking, you know, and I got to sing at her, you know, at the service, and it was just really emotional, and the girls all brought roses, and it was just amazing to see how this one person affected all these people in another country, you know, 1,000,000 miles away from her country. And so just the connections you make, that's kind of what Rotary is about. They say they're about peace and, you know, through the world. And that's what it is. You're not going to want to, you know, drop a bomb in a country where you know you have, like, relatives, host relatives. Yeah, so it's really just creating these connections that really last forever. And it shows that it doesn't matter your race or if you don't speak the language or if you do, so the people are the same.
So Rotary Exchange students are to be an ambassador for the United States, to be a good example of the United States, and create those connections so future generations have less problems. So it's a great thing that you did. And talk a little bit about the emotional cycles that you went through. Now, I'm not sure Diana went through any. Every time I would email her, she was having a blast. I could never tell that she missed home. And but they do say that, you know, as you go through the year, you have, you know, your ups and your downs, and you miss home. And I know that for Chance, I saw his document that he received from the Taiwan district, and they only allow him to email or talk. Well, I should say email. I don't even know if it spoke about talking on the phone to his parents once a week. Because
he likes that.
They want them to, you know, to really experience and immerse themselves into their culture, you know. And I mean, and when a student has too much connection home, then it prevents them from doing that. So But talk a little bit about those emotions, and Kieran, I'm sure, has seen the graph about what she would go
going on
through.
what you're saying, I know because I'm going to go. When I go away, I'm only going to try and call my mom right when I get there, and then I'm going to call later in like 3 months and just email in between time because like everybody's saying, oh, it's okay to email, but once you hear their voice, then you're like, oh, I want to go home. So I'm going to try not to call, and I think that'll help. Yeah.
I actually didn't even call my mom when I first got down there. I was just going to email her. And what happened was I arrived there at about 11 at night, or 10 at night at my house. And then it was just talking. They were asking me questions. We were going through this rotary, like, where do I brush my teeth? Where, do all these kind of stupid questions, but necessary. And I emailed my parents, but I had sent it at Hotmail instead of at Lisco. So they didn't actually hear from me until about a week. I don't know how many days. And Connie calls and she goes,
3 or 4 days later.
And I was going, hello, trying to answer the phone like a Brazilian. She says, Diana there? It's like, yeah, it's me. What? She says, Connie, your mom's looking for you. Are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I emailed her and she said she didn't get it. And so I emailed her and I realized, I sent it to Hotmail, not to Lisco. I got this delivery notice.
We had panicked parents there because they hadn't heard from you. And I remember I went home on my lunch hour and was going to call you thinking, I don't know if anybody, well, I'd already heard that your host family, nobody spoke English very well. So I had gotten out my old Spanish book and was saying, I hope they understand what I'm going to fumble and try to say here. But
Diana está. Yeah, it was.
But, when I think they realized pretty quickly that it's some American gringo up north looking for Diana.
Yeah,
so anyway.
That's what they all know. They're saying they're rambling. I don't know what they're saying. They know what it is. But so I think the parents get quite an emotional ride just at that point. I know Chance's mom and my mom are really good friends, and Claudia's she's excited and anxious, I guess. But so that was my story. But otherwise, I talked about Christmas, like holidays. The first time I cried, I never wanted to go home. I was always having a blast. I never wanted to actually go home.
Okay, so we had to switch tapes. Sorry about that. So that was a little unexpected, but that's all right.
But we were just the whole emotional scale. It was the first time I cried. That's what I was talking about. I saw a picture of my parents. Like they sent me pictures from home to show to people there. And I was looking at it, and my dad. There's this picture of my dad going like this, like and just being really crazy, and I just got teary-eyed, and my sister started laughing at me. She's like, oh, you're crying, you're looking at a funny picture of your dad, and I said, oh, it's just because that's what he's going to look like when I go home. I was thinking he's going to be like, waiting for me at the airport. It didn't turn out that way, but that's okay. But so it's more, what I got more emotional about, I never got too emotional, but just thinking about what's going on here while you're there, like what are my friends doing right now? I want to know.
Thinking you were missing out on activities here.
And activities, I'm involved in theater a lot. I do a lot of musical stuff and just a lot of school stuff in general. And their school was different. I went to school from 7 to 11:30. It was all just core classes. There wasn't any art, music. That was all outside of school. And I did a little music the second half of the year, so I got into it a little bit. But it's not the same. There's not, all your school friends together.
So you had the afternoons off? Every afternoon?
Yeah, and in Brazil, the students my age, they would study or sleep, because you'd eat a big lunch, which is the main family meal, and then they would sleep and study. That's what my sister did. And especially if you have a boyfriend like she does, and they just don't do anything. But I studied. I took tests. I did homework when I could, but I didn't really study. So usually I would, try and go out with someone, or So it's pretty different. I don't know if you know how your school is going to be.
Yeah. Do you know about your school yet?
No, nothing really. I know it's a public school. That's basically all I know. It's a public school. So.
Yeah, in Brazil they're pretty much all. Well, what you go to is private, because the public schools are worse than
Like New York
the-
City school or something.
Yeah, kind of for it's cheaper education, I guess. But so I was really privileged that I got to go to a great school, and all the classmates are really, well, not all of them. Some of them more anxious. Other ones just stay on the other side of the room. But then the second half of the year, when you learn the language, and like I saw all these people, I talked to I think all of my classmates. I only had about 50. We had 2 rooms, I think, of my year. My school is smaller, but.
Now, did you just stay in one classroom all day long then? And the teacher
and the
rotated?
teacher moved, and there they call their teachers by the first name, and the teachers, they wear jeans and a t-shirt, or sometimes dress nicer. And
More casual and relaxed?
Yeah, it's definitely more relaxed. The classroom, if one of the teachers from FHS went there, they'd probably quit, just because they talk a lot more. You move the desks around, you sit pretty much wherever you want, But they still really learn a lot, because there it's kind of more like college, because they're studying. If you don't study, they have a federal university there, which is free, but it's really hard to get in. So if you want to go that, you have to study, and it's your own choice, unless your parents make it, but
And you take
have to study.
a test to get into these universities, so it's a huge thing after they graduate from high
It's
school.
called Vestibular. It's this huge thing. There's only 3 years of high school, so they study in the 3rd year is basically just a wrap up and a study for this huge test. So school was, there were some people who didn't study, just like here. Some people did study and some people did.
So
But
you
if
took the
you-
test then?
I took most of them. The ones I knew. The beginning of the year was easier in a way. I don't know how, but it's just a different rhythm. That's what it was for me. There, because they study chemistry and physics since like what would be middle school for us. They start earlier with core classes like that, and so school was really different. But I got into it. I copied, and then the second half of the year. Like, the first half I would just copy, even if I didn't understand any of it. But the second half I was understanding. I could listen when they would just say it and, copy it. And it was really neat experience. Yeah.
So, anything else you want to share about your trip? Any words of wisdom for Karen as she gets ready to leave?
Don't go. No. Just
Or for any
enjoy
kids
it.
who might want to be
I think
interested in going?
Absolutely do exchange. I was going to say, it doesn't cost anything. I guess it costs a plane ticket, but it's worth more than a lifetime. It's something you will never forget, and you affect so many people who will never forget you. Like her sister went, her mother went, your children will probably go, it just goes on. And it really creates a peaceful community, and it's amazing what you learn there. Not only a language, but just the way they are. And I'm fascinated with culture. That's just my thing. But I think even if you're not, you should absolutely go.
So do you want to do some traveling once you get into college?
Yes,
Or would you like
I
to go
actually-
study abroad for a while?
Rotary has ambassadorial scholarships that I was looking at the other day, because I would love to. I'm gonna try and get my Spanish back in use and see if I can. I'm almost trilingual. I'm like bilingual and a half right now, and I'm planning on learning as many languages as I can, and definitely in college studying that.
Right. So just a quick review for any students that might be interested in being an exchange student. They need to go speak with a counselor at the high school. They have the applications there. And basically it's an application that you fill out, talk about your family and your interests and things that you want to do, the classes that you're taking. You do have
Pictures.
you have to put some pictures
big,
in there. And
but it's mainly for, if you get accepted, they just send that to your family. So it's basically an introduction for. I didn't really know that at the time. Not that it changed anything, but that's basically why they have you do it.
Yeah. And that all happens in the fall right away, as soon as school starts.
Yeah, do it now.
Because and then later on in the fall, in the November time frame, the district gets your application and then they do the interview process, and you're on your way. And then, of course, you spend most of the first half of the year in training. And for those kids around here, District 6000, which is the Rotary District here, is well known throughout the United States as having one of the best training programs. They've received awards for that, and so parents should know that their kids are really being taken care of well, and they're trained well to go to another country, and how to behave themselves, and what to do if they run into, a problem or.
That's another thing with our district, at least. You can really count. I emailed her, a lot, and I emailed Loring a few times. Norm, like the coordinators of the program. You can really just talk to them and email them about problems or good things.
And we should mention that Diana stayed extra time, didn't you?
I did a little bit, yes.
She was having so much fun. She wanted to stay longer than her original exchange.
Yeah. Well, they were gonna have me come back when it was about 10 months, and I wanted to stay longer so I could, because my birthday was at the end of the month. Didn't get to spend it there, but it was close enough. And you can apply for extra time.
And your mom came and picked you up.
Yes,
she came to
we
Brazil.
took a trip to Rio de Janeiro, and we stayed on Ipanema Beach for a few days. It was my third family. They went with us, which was really sweet. And we were about a minute walk from the beach, and we just had an amazing time there. And we saw the Christ, Sugarloaf Mountain, all the really popular areas. We ate at the Girl of Ipanema restaurant, and I sang the song there too. It was a really amazing time.
And your mom's planning to come and see you as well, right?
Yeah, and she was actually going to come with my aunt and my cousin, so it'll be like a big travel tour thing.
That's great.
Are you going to do it right when you're leaving?
Yeah, at the end.
That's good.
So that'll be a great experience. Kieran, we wish you a great year. We hope you have a blast.
You can email me if you have me.
And Diana,
I'll go get you. I'll go get
thanks for going and being a great ambassador
Sure.
for Fairfield and the United States. And
My pleasure.
we're thankful that your parents could give you up for a year. We know it was a huge thing for, parents to let go of their young child. I mean, I can't imagine. I think
It's
it'd
worth
be
it.
extremely scary as a parent,
Yeah.
but also extremely rewarding, obviously, as we can see. And so, thank you very much for going, and have a great trip, Kieran.
Thank you.